Thank you. Hi, everybody. Just a correction. We are not the Pearson Foundation. We are actually the Pearson Marang Education Trust. As you can see, we were established in 2007 and we only became operational in 2008. And the reason for that is that we wanted to do a review of what everybody was doing with regards to school support and development. And we didn't want to be seen to be replicating and duplicating what other people were doing. We wanted to be doing something different.
Okay. So our stratline basically is then supporting solutions. I'm not going to read for you because we can all read. The important thing is that we focus on that last line. And so as a trust, we needed to add value to what the education department was already doing and seeing how we can and improve on it. And so what we then did was we embraced all the policies and practices, and therefore our project managers would then either act as a circuit manager or as a curriculum advisor. And so what it meant was that schools consistently got the same message, whether it was from us or whether it was from the officials.
And just so that you know, I act as the project manager, so sometimes I act as a circuit manager, and Kevin is the project manager as well, and sometimes he acts as the curriculum advisor. We offered our support to all 9 provinces in the country. Fortunately, we got very positive response from 4 provinces, and our motto is we work with the willing, the wounded kind of come along by themselves. And the 4 provinces we've indicated to you, those provinces provided, or they identified the districts, and they also identified the schools in which we would work. You will also notice that it actually turned out that we found ourselves working in districts that were situated in former homelands. And much to our surprise, we also found that there is major work happening out there with support and development, but very few organizations are actually working in those deep rural areas where the need is in actual fact the greatest. It is also a huge challenge, but it's an amazing adventure and opportunity for all of us in the Pearson Marang Education Trust to actually be working in the deep rural schools and the deep rural districts.
Okay, so this is basically a glimpse of all the our projects, our programs, and what you can see here is the diversity within our programs and how comprehensive it is. So we really subscribe to the notion of from grade R to career. And so let's look at some of this in detail. You will notice we have a school support and development project, and the one at the bottom, which is our district partnership project. And so let me just explain to you a little how this works. Through the School Support and Development Project, we are in a position to offer an undergraduate bursary program. Okay, as part of the Pearson stable, we have CTI and MGI, the private universities, and so we are in a position to offer bursary to students. And through that, we also offer a master's program. Now, what is nice about the master's program feeds into the research aspects of our project. So those 2 programs feeds directly into the School Support and Development Project. And the School Support and Development Project informs what we do in the District Partnership Project. Okay, is everybody clear on that one? Okay, and so through those 4 projects, we then take the learnings from those 4 projects and we share that in the PGCE program, which happens at UCT. Okay, we've also realized that we needed to add to the body of suitably qualified lecturers. And so what we've done is we have currently a person in the process of lecturing and studying at the same time at UWC. And so what we are doing is we're adding to the body of suitably qualified lecturers.
Okay, our operating principles, like Kevin indicated, is that we are supporting but also adding value to the policies of the DBE. And what is very important for us, we've learned last night and also from all the presentations, is that it's not just something to be working with professional development, but we also need to be looking at the people that we're working with. And so all of our programs is underpinned by the Batupele principles, and that is very important for us as an organization. As you will notice, our emphasis is not just professional development, but also balancing professional with personal development. It is also important that we work at the institutions, because it's one thing to run workshops for teachers, but it's another thing to enable teachers inside of the classroom. How do you show a teacher in a workshop how to engage with the learners if there are no learners? So that's very important, that we are actually based at the schools. We also make sure that all of our teaching, learning, and assessment activities that we engage in with the teachers, we reference the policy documents of the DBE, but resources are also available, so that if they work with us today, they can go and implement in their classrooms tomorrow. But we also focus on the resources that they currently have and to use it optimally. That's very important for us. What has happened by working in that way is that we have found that the trust and the mutual respect that is developed is absolutely amazing, because people feel, I can't do something, but the minute that they feel that they are being trusted, that they are respected, and that you're not going to judge them, it is absolutely amazing how you in actual fact enable them. And that respect that has come through has been absolutely amazing, but I must also say, once people give you respect, it is something that you have to nurture, and you also have to respect. You must never ever take that trust and respect for granted. And that is why we also have performance contracts with everybody with whom we engage. And what is nice about having performance contracts is that the schools and the districts can hold us accountable, and we can also hold them accountable. So they take the professional and the personal development quite serious. And what is also important is that we constantly and continuously coach, model, mentor, and go through reflective practices, so that that can also become embedded within our schools.
Okay, so in terms of some of the challenges we faced when we started this project, I mean, these pictures might be familiar to most of you. And so things like unsuitable nutrition facilities, poor maintenance of school furniture, overcrowded classrooms, inadequate accommodation. I mean, it's still true for most of the schools in our country. And so what we are saying is that despite these challenges, what we found is that schools were performing. And so something that we've been grappling with is the following. If we take away the unsuitable nutritional facilities, the other three could easily be, it's easily observable at your urban schools as well. And so what we are finding is that there's an interesting thing, that sometimes the rural schools, where this is sort of the norm, are performing better than your urban schools. So there's an interesting question there, and an interesting challenge there as well.
Okay, what we found at most of our schools, in actual fact, in many of the schools, and just so that you know, we are actually working in primary schools and in high schools as well. But the interesting thing that we find that is happening in our schools, even though all of our schools, even the deep rural schools, have policy documents post-94, those documents are not being engaged with. Those documents aren't being meaningfully implemented at the schools. The documents are only being used for compliance activities. So if the circuit manager comes, there's a policy. But then there's a second system operating in the school. So the schools they create this illusion that we have these wonderful policies in place. But once you find yourself in the classroom, or once you find yourself engaging with the SMT, you find that there are still pre-1994 practices, rote teaching and learning that is happening. But what is very interesting for us at all of the schools is that the social welfare activities are operating at maximum. So 80 to 90% of teachers' times and SMT time is being spent on the nutrition program, making sure that the children's social welfare is being taken care of, so that they have social grants. And what we then did is that we are trying to capture that agency, where they spend most of their time, to actually use that same energy to engage with policies, to use that same energy to get the actual post-1994 policies being implemented inside of the classroom. So we're not beating them up because of what is happening. We look at the context and we work with the current situation. Next one, Kevin. And we can honestly say, if you think of all the slides that we've just presented to you, it is because of those things that many people say, well, we're almost 20 years into democracy, but absolutely nothing has changed. And it is simply because people find themselves, it's kind of like a sense of helplessness. And because of that sense of helplessness, we mustn't say to ourselves, well, that's just how it is and that is how it has to stay. And that is why it's so important for us as a project to focus on both the professional and the personal development to get people out of this state of helplessness. Because we've seen how amazing they are when they're working with a social context. And we want to harness that energy so that it can get into the classroom and the leadership of the schools as well. The strengths of our project, we feel that the way in which we are working is very necessary. Why is that so? Because we mediate the DBE policies, not just with the teachers, but with the officials as well. We then take it a step further and we go into the classroom and we coach and we mentor and we demonstrate how to actually use the resources, but the resources that is actually at the school. What is also important is that teachers and officials learn from one another. So we have teacher symposiums, official symposiums, where they get to share best practices with one another. We also have leadership exchange programs. So if you look at the spectrum of people that we're working with every single stakeholder within the district, and that's very important. Our model that we have, and this is a model that has evolved as we've worked with the school. We didn't take a model into the school, but our model focuses on three things: support, but support that adds value. We work with DBE policies, but not with all of them, the fundamental ones to get our school to a place so that they can be more operational.
Okay, then just as some more supporting evidence, what we've done is since 2008 until last year, we've been testing the grade 3s and 6s at our primary schools. We've also started testing the grade 12s, which the next slide speaks to. But just a comment on this one here. What we've noticed is that with the right kind of support, teachers or learner performance will improve, bottom line. And what has happened in 2012, we had reduced our support to this project because we had started the district partnership project. So we had given sort of down to 50%. But what you can see is the purple indicates there that the performance is being sustained because the teachers are better equipped, management is better equipped. And then just as this slide over here, something that we also found is we have gotten schools, our high schools, to realize, you know what, we cannot only focus on the grade 12s. We need to look at the whole, from grade 8 to grade 12. And so what we are finding is that there's less emphasis on, there's less wanting all the matrics to pass. Yes, we want them all to pass, but there should be a bigger emphasis on the quality of the passes. And so there's been this huge shift. And so you've noticed our bachelor's has improved quite a bit.
So if you guys want to have questions,
okay.
we need to close.
Okay, that's my slide quickly. Last thing here that we maybe would want to say is that out of the school support and development project, this is the model which is on the district partnership project. And so what we want to say here is that if we enable districts, we will in the process enable schools. And if we enable schools, we will get a functioning system.
Last thing that I want to say is, bottom line with our project is enabling schools to do what is expected of them. Bottom line with our district partnership project is enabling officials to do what is expected of them to do. Nothing fancy, just the basics, getting the basics in place.
Okay, and then maybe just as a closing remark.
I think we've got to close there.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.